أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين بارئ الخلائق أجمعين ثم الصلاة والسلام والتحية والإكرام على خاتم النبيين وسيد المرسلين أبي القاسم محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين لا سيما على الإمام المنتظر وحجة الله الثاني عشر ابن العسكري المنتظر ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين. أما بعد، فقد قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في كتابه الكريم القرآن الحكيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إنا أعطيناك الكوثر فصل لربك وانحر إن شانئك هو الأبتر. صلوات. On to the day of the Shahadat of the Holy Lady and the daughter of the Holy Prophet Fatimah bint Muhammad salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayha. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad. Allow me to extend my sincere condolences and tasliyah to all of you on this extremely sad and hazeen occasion. And today also happens to be coincident to my last majlis and my commitment to these Ayyam Fatimiyya for the Leicester Jamaat. A brief little introduction, and then the topic that we've mentioned, the topic that was given previously, the greatness of Hazrat Fatimah Az-Zahra salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayha, and then the masab of Shahadat, and then I take your leave. All through the time that we have been together in the previous nights, we've endeavored and embarked on trying to understand two simultaneous concepts. One is to get to understand more the greatness of this Holy Lady, and secondly to understand some of the misconceptions with respect to our understanding of the religion of Islam, and the solutions and the recommendations and the teachings of the Ahlul Bayt vis-a-vis those misconceptions. Tonight and today, the focus will be primarily on the personality of Hazrat Fatimah Az-Zahra, and it is more appropriate, this being the day of the Shahadat of the Holy Lady. But the importance that needs to be accorded to her, the Ummah might have given and accorded to her, or the Ummah might not have accorded to her. But one individual who definitely accorded the appropriate respect that she was deserving was none other than her father, the Holy Prophet. You remember the last sentence when he said, the last time when we spoke about the sentence that overpowered and overwhelmed all fadilah and traits that the prophets and the virtues that the Holy Prophet spoke about Bibi Fatimah. And that sentence was Abuha Fidaha, Abuha Fidaha, Abuha Fidaha. 3 times he goes on to say that may her father be sacrificed for her, meaning may I, the Holy Prophet, the best of the creation of God, the creation of God out of whose love God created the entire universe and all the other creations, may this creation of God be sacrificed for this creation of God, Fatimah Az-Zahra, my daughter. And the amazing thing is that numerous times on our behavior, we accord a certain respect in terms of speech, but we fall short when it comes to actions. Our actions do not reflect what we state and what we speak. But not so for the Holy Prophet. The Holy Prophet, if he says Abuha Fidaha, in order to emphasize the respect that he had for her, the love that he had for her, the esteem and deference that he exhibited towards her in terms of words, he would follow it up with actions. He would actually do it in practice. And listen to this incident to realize how amazingly exhibition of deference from the Holy Prophet to his daughter was there in real practice, in actual implementation. And this tradition is a tradition whereby the Holy Prophet, along with his great companion Jabir ibn Abdullah al-Ansari, all of us know who Jabir Ansari is. Riwayat tells us that one day the Holy Prophet in Medina, along with Jabir ibn Abdullah Ansari, comes to the house of Fatimah al-Zahra salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayha. He comes to the door and he knocks at the door. And this is just one incident that has been narrated by the books of traditions. And this was his minwal, this was his routine, this was his normal behavior whenever he would want to come to the house of the Holy Prophet, of Bibi Fatimah. We all have heard about how he would stand up when Bibi Fatimah would come to him. Qama ilayha, he would stand up, take a few steps towards Fatima, take her hand, bring her to himself, kiss her on the forehead, make her sit on his seat or next to him. This is what we've been hearing. But look at what happens now when the Prophet is coming to the house of Fatima al-Zahra. Rawat says one day the Holy Prophet had some work with Fatima. Along with him was Jabir ibn Abdullah al-Ansari. They come to the door, the Holy Prophet knocks. From inside, Fatima calls out, "Who is it?" At that time, the Holy Prophet says, "It's me, your father, Fatima. Do I have your permission to come inside?" Listen to the words of this narration. I'm going to narrate it exactly as it has been narrated. The Holy Prophet calls out to Fatima and says, "Fatima, do I have your permission to enter?" Remember Hadith Kisa? هل تأذن لي أن أدخل? Do you give me permission so that I may enter? Yeah, the Holy Prophet is seeking permission from Fatima al-Zahra to enter her house. Hearing this, Fatima says, "Oh Baba, yes, come inside, not a problem, come inside." The Holy Prophet still does not enter. Says, "Fatima, Jabir ibn Abdullah al-Ansari is with me. Jabir is with me. Do I have your permission to bring him into your house?" Ajab, this is on. At every step you find that the Prophet is seeking permission. But the Prophet, the best of the creation of God, the most superior creation of God, is now exhibiting such deference towards an individual who is his daughter, lowered to him in age. But Ajab, God knows what the Holy Prophet knows about Fatima, that he has to do these sort of exhibition of extreme respect that he harbors for her. He says, "Fatima, Jabir also needs to come. Jabir is with me and he needs to come inside." As soon as she hears this, she says, "Baba, I do not have my covering. I do not have my chadar, my hijab. Give me a few minutes. Let me cover myself." She picks up a piece of her covering. She covers herself, goes inside and says, and waits. The Rawat says now the Prophet is waiting. The Fatima has covered herself. And after some time, the Prophet asks again, "Fatima, are you ready?" She says, "Yes." He says, "Do I have your permission to enter now?" The second time, the Prophet is taking the permission of his daughter to enter. He says, "Baba, yes, come inside." He says, "I'm coming inside, but do I have now your permission to bring Jabir inside?" The Prophet's daughter says, "Yes, I'm in the other room. I've got myself covered. You can bring Jabir inside." Twice, in order to enter, twice the Holy Prophet seeks permission to enter for himself and for Jabir. You could have understood it if he had sought the permission for Jabir, but seeking permission from his daughter for himself to come into her house is completely unparalleled in the world of existence. But there was something in, and there is something in this holy lady that the Holy Prophet knew, that despite him being the best of the creations, he wanted to accord this respect and esteem to his daughter. But as we look at the aspect of the Holy Prophet, there is one aspect that stands out with respect to the Lady Fatima and her specific relationship to Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salam. And this relationship has been very beautifully encapsulated by the sixth Imam. On an occasion when the discussion of the sixth Imam, in front of the sixth Imam, came for Imam Ali alayhi salam and Bibi Fatimah, he comes up with a statement. Ajab this is. He says, the relationship between Fatima and Ali was such that it is beyond understanding. And then he comes up with this tradition. It's a very famous tradition, and I'm sure most of you have heard it. He says, and this is where I want to take it to a very important fadila and benefit, because today we're talking about the greatness of Hazrat Zahra. We want to understand وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَنْ Fatima. Who is Fatima? So we're talking about wanting to understand who this Fatima is. And in order to understand who this Fatima is, we need to go back to this relationship between Amirul Mu'mineen and Fatima. The sixth Imam has gone on record to have stated, لولا أن الله خلق أمير المؤمنين لم يكن لفاطمة كفو في وجه الأرض من آدم ومن دونه. He says, had God, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not created Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salam on this world of creation, there would have been no partner for Fatima on the face of this earth from Adam and every single individual from the loins of Adam up to the day of judgment. There was nobody, there could have been nobody, there is nobody who can be a partner, who can be a similitude, who can be a comparison, who can be comparable to become a partner, to become a spouse of Fatima, had it not been for Amirul Mu'mineen. It's because of the presence of Amirul Mu'mineen that Fatima found a partner comparable, commensurate to her rank, to her maqam, to her status. Had Ali not been there, there would have been no kuf. Kuf means equal, kuf means partner. This, as we recite in Surah Tawheed, وَلَمْ يَكُلْ لَهُ كُفُوًا أَحَدٍ. There is no partner to him. Had it not been for Ali, there would have been no partner for Fatima, because the rank of Fatima was such that there could be nobody from Adam or Nuh or Ibrahim or Musa or Isa or Ulul Azm or any of the prophets or any of the individuals who could be comparable to Fatima in rank. It had to be Amirul Mu'mineen. Now, because of this relationship between them, you all know that because of this relationship, a nikah takes place between them. But I just want to take you into one aspect of this nikah to explain so that we can understand what is this rank of this lady in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the Holy Prophet decides to do the nikah of Ali with Fatima, and between the both. But this decision of the Holy Prophet to do nikah on earth of Fatima and Ali came out of the instructions of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, emanating in the aftermath of an incident that took place in the skies at the time when the Holy Prophet went for Mi'raj. That incident, beyond that and after that incident, the instruction of God came to the Holy Prophet, Ya Ahmad, now go and do the nikah of Ali and Fatima. And that incident was this, that when the Holy Prophet says, when I went, Lamma usriya bi Rabbi, when my Lord took me into that nightly ascension for Mi'raj, and I crossed the first skies and the second skies and the sixth skies and the seventh skies, and I crossed the Sidratul Muntaha, the final barrier where no creation of God had ever gone beyond. Even Jibreel could not go beyond that. Even Ibrahim, who was on the seventh heavens, had not been granted the permission to go beyond that boundary of Sidratul Muntaha. The Prophet says, I cross the boundaries, I cast past the curtain of light till I reach the closest spiritual presence of God and any creature of God, any makhluk of God had ever reached. And in the course of the discussions, all the talks about him, talks about Amirul Mu'mineen. God gives some wasiyah, tells him about the secrets and the fadail and the virtues and the rank of Ali in his eyes. And then at that point of time, God says, I want to do nikah of your daughter Fatima to Ali over here. And it is at the time when the Prophet had gone to Miraj that God performed the nikah of Fatima with Ali in the skies beyond Sidratul Muntaha. Having done that, and this tradition is narrated by Sheikh Tusi. Sheikh Tusi narrates these traditions on the authority of Jabir ibn Abdullah Ansari. The nikah of Ali and Fatima is concluded in the heavens, after which Allah tells the Holy Prophet, Ya Ahmad, now that I have performed the nikah of Ali with Fatima and Fatima with Ali in the heavens, in the skies beyond Sidratul Muntaha, I want you that when you go back to the earth, on the world, you do the nikah of Ali and Fatima. And that's when the Prophet then decides, and all the routine, normal, superficial actions take place, as a result of which the nikah of Ali and Fatima take place upon the earth. That's point number one. Point number two, all of us have heard that the nikah was very simple on the earth, very simple. According to certain traditions, 400 dirhams, 500 dirhams was the mahar of Fatima. According to certain traditions, Amirul Mu'mineen gave his coat of arms, his dira, his coat and the armor which he would wear on the battlefield to protect himself. He handed it over to Fatima, that this is my mahar. Whatever it is, it was something very, very trivial, not very extravagant, something very something very menial would not be the work, something very low in value, something very platonic in value, that was given to Fatima. Fatima accepted it wholeheartedly. Ali, whatever you give me, it's acceptable to me. But this is what took place upon the earth. But there was some other mahar given to Fatima in the heavens. Over here on earth, when the nikah took place, Ali gave his coat of armors of 400, 500 dirhams, or something very minuscule. But in the heavens, when Allah concluded the nikah of Fatima with Ali, the mahar that was given to Fatima was something extravagant. Because there it was in the measure commensurate with the power and the qudrat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What was that mahar? Over there, the mahar that was given to Fatima was not given by Ali to Fatima. Riwayat says, and this riwayat narrated by Sheikh Tusi in his book Al-Khisal, again upon the authority of Jabir ibn Abdullah Ansari. Over there in the heavens, when the nikah was done between Ali and Fatima, God says, I am going to give the mahar of this nikah instead of in lieu of Ali to Fatima. The mahar is on me. Now the riwayat says, Sheikh Tusi in the book Al-Khisal is narrating, Inna Allah amhara Fatima. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave Fatima, ajab, this rank of this lady. It says, Inna Allah amhara Fatima rub'a dunya farub'uha laha. When the nikah was concluded, God says, Fatima's mahar I am going to give. And the mahar of Fatima out of the result of this nikah is, I'm gifting her, I'm dedicating to her. Her mahar is rub'u dunya. 1/4 of this world, that is their planet Earth, is Fatima's property. Then the riwayat goes on saying, for rubu'uha laha, 1/4 of this dunya belongs to Fatima. God says, but that is still not enough. This is what you're talking about, the dunya. But your rank in the akhirat is much, much more than people can even imagine. It is this dunya that I'm giving you 1/4. But in the akhirat, your talk will be the maximum talk. Then the riwayat concludes, وَأَمْحَرَ فَاطِمَةَ الْجَنَّةَ وَالنَّارَ. He says, I'm giving as mahar to Fatima paradise and Jahannam. تدخل أعداءها النار وتدخل أولياؤها الجنة. I'm granting as mahar to Fatima for this nikah paradise and Jahannam. Al-Jannah wal-Nar. Paradise and Jahannam. The awliya of God will, the awliya of Fatima will be made to enter into paradise by Fatima, and the enemies of Fatima will be made to enter hell by means of Fatima. Fatima will decide who goes to heaven, Fatima will decide who goes to hell. Ajab, this is on 1/4 of the world given as mahar. Paradise and Jahannam given as mahar to Fatima. Now, having understood this, there is one very important fiqh discussion that takes place in the house that I just want to touch base on, and we can move forward. And it's all based on this one sentence. Al-kuffar mukallafuna bil-usul. Al-kuffar mukallafuna bil-furu' kama hum mukallafuna bil-usul. What does it mean? It means that, look, as Muslims, as mu'mineen, as the Shiites of Ali alayhi salam, we've got certain responsibilities in terms of believing in and following the religion of Islam. So we've got two categories of actions or things to do for us to be categorized as proper Muslims. One are those things that make up the usul ad-din, and the second are those things that make up the furu' ad-din. We are bound to be answerable to God for usul ad-din, and we are also bound to be answerable to God on furu' ad-din. So if it comes to, for example, the adalat of God, and if we do not believe in the adalat of God, as some sects do, that God will decide if He wants to put Yazid into paradise, He will do it, not a problem. We say there's a problem in this, because if God were to put Yazid into paradise, and where is the adalat of God? What happens to about the massacre that was done in Karbala? What happens to the 6-month-old who was killed? What happens to the 18-year-old who was killed? What happens to the 30-year-old whose hands were severed? What happens to them? Where is then the justice of God? Yes, God can put Yazid into Jannah, but will He? This is dictated by the adalat of God, the justice of God. People who do not believe in the justice of God will be answerable to God on the day of judgment. Mas'ulun mukallafun. They are answerable to God on answering why they did not believe. So any aspect of usul ad-din, say imamat for that matter, those who do not believe in the imamat of the Ahlul Bayt will be answerable on the day of judgment. Why did you not believe when all the hujjaj and all the proofs and dalil were presented before you? In addition to that, you and me are also tasked and will be asked and tasked and answerable and accountable to God for the furu' ad-din. Did you pray your prayers? Did you observe your fasts? What about khums? Zakat, did you know about it? Amr bil ma'ruf, nahy anil munkar. Tawalla, tabarri, tawalli, tabarri. So we are answerable on both of these. The question comes is those who do not believe in God. Those who do not believe in God, one thing is certain, that they will be answerable for the usuluddin. Why did you not believe in my tawheed? Why did you not believe in my oneness, in my existence? Why did you not believe in my adalat? Why did you not believe in the risalat of the prophets and the risalat of the Holy Prophet? And what about the imamat? What made you not believe? And why did you not believe on the day of judgment? So every aspect of usuluddin, for those who are non-believers, who are disbelievers, who do not follow the religion of Islam, they will be answerable to God on usuluddin. The question comes is this, in the house of the discussion is, that while the kuffar, everybody agrees that they will be answerable to God on the usuluddin, on the tawheed, on the nabuwat, on the imamat, on the adalat, on the qiyamat, while they will have to answer God on all of these. The question, the debate is, will they also be answerable to God on the prayers that they did not pray? And the question and the debate comes over here is this, that are the kuffar and the disbelievers and the non-believers also tasked and obligated and culpable for not praying their prayers? So one group of Scholars say they will not be asked on furu'uddin, of salat, of saum, of hajj, of zakat, of khums. And the reason they say is that all of the furu'uddin are subsequent and secondary to the fundamentals of religion. But because they themselves are not following the fundamentals of religion, the furu'uddin cannot come into place. You can talk about somebody not praying to God the 5 salat, but that will only come if he believes in God and Allah. If he doesn't believe in Allah, then the salat doesn't come into play. The saum doesn't come into play. If somebody doesn't believe in imamat and nubuwat, and imamat being an extension of nubuwat, the concept of khums does not come. Why would he be asked for not having paid his khums? Why would he be taken to account for not having paid his khums when he is not believing in the imamat? But the majority, an overwhelming majority of the ulama, the Shiite believe, al-kuffar mukallafuna bil-furu' kama hum mukallafuna bil-usul. Says now, not only will they be asked about usul ad-din, but they will also be taken to task for furu' ad-din. And the reason for that is, and mudallal, and majority of the Shiite, and this is our faith, our belief. And the reason is that having been given so many proofs, having been given the Quran, having been sent the prophets, having been shown the imams, yet if you do not accept those usuluddin, then it is your fault. Had you accepted it, you would have had to do the furu'uddin. Because you did not accept usuluddin, not only will you be culpable for usuluddin, but because furu'uddin is linked to usuluddin, it's inseparable from usuluddin. If you've missed out usuluddin, you've missed out furu'uddin. And hence, if you've been to be taken to task for usuluddin, you cannot separate furu'uddin from usuluddin, because both of them together form part of Islam. You cannot say Islam is, I can take only usuluddin and leave out furu'uddin, and yet I will be a Muslim. Or you can say I will take furu'uddin and leave out usuluddin, and yet I will be a Muslim. Islam is a complete package that is made up of usuluddin and furu'uddin intertwined with themselves, between themselves. They are not separate entities that you can say I will take this, I will leave this out, or vice versa. So if somebody has missed out on usuluddin and is to be taken to task for usuluddin, then he is but naturally, consequentially asked to be accountable for furu'uddin, because furu'uddin follows usuluddin. And hence we've got this al-kuffaru mukallafuna bil-furu' kama hum mukallafuna bil-usul. Having understood this, let's go back to that issue of the mahr of Bibi Fatimah and understand how things are going to work out here. Sheikh Tusi says, narrated this tradition, Inna Allah amhara Fatima rub'ad dunya, that Allah has graced and given Fatima, gifted Fatima as mahr 1/4 of the dunya. That means 1/4 of the world belongs to Fatima. Now try to understand and let me explain to you. When you say 1/4 of the world, it doesn't mean that the entire sphere are divided into 4 quadrants. You divide it first between the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere, and then you divide it vertically between the eastern hemisphere and the western hemisphere. And then you say, all right, the first quadrant goes to Fatima and the remaining 3 quadrants are for the remaining people. Or the third quadrant goes to Fatima and all the other quadrant goes to the other people. 1/4 doesn't mean this way. 1/4 means in every single pebble that is there on the face of the earth, every single leaf that is there on the face of the earth, every single drop of water that is there on the face of the earth, part of that pebble, to 1/4 of the pebble, 1/4 of the drop of water, 1/4 of the leaf, or 25% of that pebble, 25% of that leaf, 25% of the drop of water belongs to Fatima. That means every single grain of sand has a part of Fatima included in it. What this means is that this entire world, it's like a partnership. You have a partnership firm, And when all the assets and the capital of the partners are put inside one pot, which becomes a capital account and reflected in the capital account of the business firm, of the business partnership, at that point of time, the entire assets and the liquid cash that is held by the partnership belongs to the partners equally. And a clear example of this would be similar to khums. In khums, what happens is that you have to take out 20% of your income of the savings at the end of the year. So if somebody saved £1,000, the khums amount is £200. But he cannot say that, oh, I've got £1,000. I know £200 belongs to Imam and the Sadat. I will keep using the money from the £1,000 to the extent of £800. When £200 remain, I will take it and give it as khums. All the Maradiyas say that is not acceptable. That is isyan, that is sin. Why is it a sin? It is a sin because as soon as the date of khums comes, you need to take out £200 out of the savings of £1,000 and give it as khums. But no, I'm keeping it inside the money of the £1,000. I will keep using money from the £1,000. Once I've utilized £800, I will take out 200 and give it as khums. And all the Maradiyas say it cannot work because every pound that you take out of the £1,000 without giving the khums of £200, every pound that you take out, 20% of that pound that you spend belongs to the Imam and the Sadat. Till you do not take out the £200, this £800 does not become your property. Till the £200 remain as part of the £1,000 pot, every single pence that you pick up to use has 20% of it belonging to the Imam and the Sadat, which means that every pence, every pound that a person spends, he's spending the money of Imam and the Sadat without their permission, which means it is ghasb. This is exactly the same thing when it comes to 1/4 of the dunya. If 1/4 of every pebble, 1/4 of every junk, 1/4 of every leaf on this earth belongs to Fatimah Zahra, then for enemies of Amirul Mu'mineen to walk, the Muntasibeen, the Nasibeen, those who harbor animosity towards the father of the Ahlul Bayt, father of Fatima, or to the husband of Fatima, or to the children of Fatima, for them to walk upon the face of the earth according to fiqh is ghasbi. Every step that they take, they will be taking a step on the property, on a piece of land. Every step which encompasses a portion of earth under their feet, 25% belongs to Fatima. And because they are harboring animosity towards the Holy Prophet, or towards Amirul Mu'mineen, or towards the children of Fatima, for them to walk on land is haram, because they are treading on a property of Fatima Zahra, who has not given them permission to walk, because she knows that these people are harboring animosity towards her family members, and she would never be permitting them to walk on the face of the earth on her property for enemies who are harboring animosity towards her family. So for those who oppose Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salam, for those who have been opposing Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salam, those who are in opposition to the children of Fatima, for them to have been lived on this earth is an answerable act on the Day of Judgment for every step that they take on this earth, because they've been treading on 25% of property belonging to Fatima, wherein she has not given them the permission to use her property. They will be answerable. This is how God works. This is how the meticulousness of Hisab. You remember what Amirul Mu'mineen says? Fear the munaqashatul hisab. Munaqasha means you take a pair of tweezers and small little strands, small little splinters of wood. When it goes into one's palm, you take out that little pair of tweezers, you squint your eyes to look at where that small little splinter is, use the pair of tweezers to pull that small little piece out. That is called munaqasha. Amirul Mu'mineen says, ittaqu munaqashatul hisab. Fear that hisab, when things as small as splinters will be pulled out of your book of deeds and asked you to give explanation. Why was this done? Ittaqu munaqashatul hisab. Fear that intensity and the meticulousness of the hisab, when the smallest of the deeds that are not even visible to the naked eye are pulled out of your book of deeds and presented before you. Higher. Now answer, why was this done? This is what happens to those who believe in Fatima. For us, she is given the permission. You are the followers of my Ahlul Bayt. You are my muhibbeen. You are the muhibbeen of my itrat. Remember on the day of judgment, the hadith that we mentioned, when she turns to God and when she will turn to God and says, An la tu'adhib muhibbi wa muhibbi itrati. My only requirement, my only request to you is do not punish those who are my followers and those who love me and those who love my children and my family. So we've been given the permission. The problem lies for those individuals for whom the Holy Fatima is not happy. And you know, certain individuals, she refused to tell them when to come. She refused to get them to come to her grave. She refused to want them to know where the janazah was, where the grave was, when she was going to be buried. And this is what it is. And this lady becomes so important in the sense that because of her, God changes the rulings of the physical world to accommodate the respect of Fatima. So listen to this incident and then we go to the Mas'ab. This incident is related with respect to an individual by the name of Ayman. Ayman is a lady who was very prominently involved in the family of the Holy Prophet. From the time of the wiladat of the Holy Prophet till the time she passes away, according to certain narrations, in the time of Hazrat Uthman, a little more than 85 years. This was the time when the Prophet, she was originally the kaniz of Hazrat Amina, the mother of the Holy Prophet. When Hazrat Amina passes away, the responsibility of taking care of the Holy Prophet falls upon Ayman. And she does her work beautifully. And from the very beginning, she accepts Islam at the hands of the Holy Prophet. Time goes on, the Prophet marries Khadija. When the Prophet marries Bibi Khadija as a gift because of the marriage and the happiness, he tells Ayman, I liberate you, I free you from the Kanizi. Because the Kanizi, she was a slave girl of Hazrat Amina. After that, when she passes away, she comes to the Holy Prophet. Prophet says, I free you in the way of God. She gets freed, she gets married, she gets a child by the name of Ayman, and hence the name Ayman. Her original name was Baraka bint Tha'laba ibn Amr. Tha'laba ibn Amr, his daughter Baraka. But when Ayman was born after the marriage, when she was freed by the Holy Prophet, everybody called her Ayman, the mother of Ayman. This Ayman was a son of Ayman, who grows up to become, just like the mother, an immense staunch follower of the Holy Prophet and Amirul Mu'mineen. A deep follower. At every battle of the Holy Prophet, you would find Ayman. Every ghazwa, every act, every helper, you would find Ayman there. He would be participating, helping out the Holy Prophet in the battles. In the battle of Hunayn, when that dire situation is reached, when everybody has left the Holy Prophet and the Prophet is left standing with only 10 followers, one of those 10 followers who did not run away was Ayman. As God would have it, the Mashiach of God, he gets martyred in the same battle of Hunayn. Like mother, like son. This Ayman continues to remain with the Holy Prophet, continues to support Ali alayhi salam after the Holy Prophet, continues to support Fatima after the Holy Prophet. And this Ayman was one of those witnesses who took the effort, who dared the powers that be to come into the court, into the Masjid al-Nabi, into the court of the first Khalifa, to give witness and testimony, stating, I was there when the Prophet said, Jibreel has revealed to me by God that Fadak needs to be given to Fatima. I, Ayman, was there. I saw this happening. I heard the Prophet saying this, and he told us, I am giving you and making you witness from what I have said of having gifted Fatima with Fadak. I am there. I am bearing testimony that the Prophet has gifted Fadak to Fatima in his lifetime. And this lady was so highly regarded by the Holy Prophet in his eyes, in his lifetime, that before he passed away, he prophesied to her saying, Ayyam, you're one of the ladies of paradise. And this is the sentence that she uses when she comes before the first Khalifa and saying, do you not attest to the fact that I was an individual to whom the Prophet says, Ayyam, you are from the ladies of paradise? And they had to say yes. Says, I am telling you, this is what had happened. I was an eyewitness to this gifting of the Prophet of Fadak to Fatima in his lifetime. Now that's a different issue, that this was not taken into account. This testimony was some other individual happens to come across, tells the first Khalifa, we cannot accept it, and Ayman's testimony was thrown out. But this was the Ayman. Why I'm bringing it? Because I want to show you, when somebody gets so mutamassik, when somebody gets so attached, when somebody's wujud becomes that of the Ahlul Bayt, then God violates his own laws to accommodate the requests of that individual. One who's given himself, who's made himself fana, who's disintegrated and dissolved his own individual personality into the love and the obedience of the Ahlul Bayt. God says, this will be compensated appropriately, even if I have to violate the laws of my own nature that I've set up. And one classical example, Ayman. She was so attached to the entire family that helping out the Holy Prophet, after the Holy Prophet, defending the wilayat of Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salam, and at the same time supporting Fatimah Zahra. After Fatimah Zahra passed away, Ayman says, now Medina is not the place for me to stay. It's not possible for me to live in a city and look at a house where I know my lady of the light, Fatimah Zahra, used to live in, and realize she's no longer there. I cannot bear it. So she packs her bags and says, I'm going to go to Mecca. I will take a place near the Masjid al-Haram and spend the rest of my life there. She picks up her bags and she takes off from Medina to Mecca. This has been narrated in Biharul Anwar, where I'm staying right now, this incident, and also by that great scholar Qutb Rawandi. Qutb Rawandi narrates this, Biharul Anwar narrates this. This is what happens. What happens? Ayman leaves Medina, says, now Medina, I cannot stand the streets of Medina. My Fatimah Zahra is not there. I can't stay here. So she takes off, nikal padi. एक मरतबा जो है पूरे सामान को लेकर मदीने को छोड़ के मक्के की तरफ चली। अब जो है वो रिवायत के जुमले इस तरह है कि एक मरतबा जब जा रही थी तो कुछ मसला ऐसे हो गया कि जो है वो रास्ता भूल गई, या कुछ ऐसे वक्त ज़्यादा लग गया, जो भी खाने पीने का सामान जो ले चली थी ना, एक मरतबा ख़त्म हो चुका। अब न खाना बचा ना प्यास बची, पानी बचा, बस जो बचा है वो शिद्दत की प्यास। अब वो प्यास के मारे जो है वो अपनी जर्नी को, अपने सफ़र को जो है वो इदामा दे रही थी, जाना है मक्का, क्योंकि अब मदीने तो रहने के लायक न रहा ना। बस एक मरतबा जो है वो चलती गई, एक मकाम ऐसे आया कि बस तशनगी इतनी शदीद हो गई, इतनी ज़ोर से प्यास, इतनी शदीद प्यास कि अब जो है वो ऐसा महसूस हुआ कि अयमन की अब ज़िंदा रहने वाली नहीं है। यानी तशनगी की ऐसी हालत, इतनी प्यास की ऐसी हालत कि बस अब ये प्यास और तशनगी मुझे हलाक करके रखेगी। जब देखा कि बस अब मरने के अलावा कोई चारा नहीं है, तो एक मरतबा रिवायत के जुमले हैं, एक मरतबा हाथों को बुलंद किया, आंखों को आसमान की तरफ ले गई, और एक मरतबा दुआ कहती है, या रब्बी अना खादिमत फातिमा, मैं फातिमा की खादिमा हूँ। क्या ऐसे हो सकता है कि फातिमा की खादिमा, फातिमा की कनीज होते हुए भी जो है मैं प्यास के मारे मर जाऊं? बस जुमला ये जो है वो खादिमा फातिमा, कनीज फातिमा, पता नहीं किस खुलूस से निकले ये जुमलात, कि एक मरतबा कुतुब रावंदी आलिम बाअमल, ये बुजुर्ग आलिम, बिहारुल अनवार की रिवायत बताती है कि एक मरतबा जब अयमन ने देखा कि आसमान से एक सतल, ایک بالٹی جو ہے وہ نازل ہوتی ہے، اس کو ایک رسی سے لٹکی ہوئی بالٹی نازل ہوتی ہے، بالٹی تو نظر آتی ہے مگر جو وہ رسی کا سرا جو آسمان کے طرف ہے نا، وہ پتہ نہیں چلتا کہ کہاں سے آ رہی ہے، جہاں تک نظر جاتی ہے وہ رسی جو ہے وہ نظر آتی ہے۔ ایک مرتبہ وہ رسی جھکتی ہے، وہ جو سطل ہے، وہ جو بالٹی ہے، ایک مرتبہ ایمن کے سامنے کے سامنے جب آئے تو ایک مرتبہ ایمن نے کیا دیکھا کہ وہ بالٹی میں جو ہے کچھ پانی بھرا ہوا ہے۔ ایک مرتبہ اپنے ہاتھوں کو جو ہے وہ غرفہ بنایا اور جو ہے وہ پانی کو پی لیا، اتنا پانی میٹھا، اتنا گوارا کہ ایک مرتبہ روایت کے جملے وہ پانی کیا پی لیا ایمن نے، پیاس تو بجھی، لیکن دیکھیں میں نے کہا نا کہ خدا خود اپنے نظام کو جو ہے، اپنے قوانین کو فاطمہ کی محبین کے لیے جو ہے تبدیل کرنے کے لیے تیار ہو جاتا ہے۔ روایت کے جملے یہ جو ہے وہ پانی پیتی ہے ایمن، اپنی پیاس کو بچاتی ہے، اپنے آپ کو ہلاک ہونے سے بچا دیتی ہے، زندہ باقی رہتی ہے، مکہ پہنچتی ہے، لیکن پتہ نہیں یہ پانی میں کیا تاثیر تھی کہ پروردگار عالم نے معجزانہ اعجاز آمیز طریقے سے ایمن کے سامنے بھیج دیا کہ روایت کے جملے 7 سال تک پھر ایمن کو جو ہے کبھی پیاس اور تشنگی کا احساس نہیں ہوا۔ اور لوگ دیکھتے تھے کہ مدینے میں یہ سرزمین حجاز ہے، سعودی عرب ہے، گرمی کا جو ہے شدت گرمیوں کے موسم میں تو سب جانتے ہیں، جب عمرہ اور زیارت کے لیے جاتے ہیں کہتے لوگ جو ہے وہ گرمی کی حالت سے جو ہے وہ پریشان اور تشنگی جو ہے وہ اپنے اوج پہ ہوتی تھی، اور لوگ دیکھا کرتے تھے کہ ایمن کو جو ہے کسی قسم کی تشنگی اور پیاس کا جو ہے احساس نہیں ہوتا۔ اب مجھے پتہ نہیں یہ کیا مسئلہ ہے، لیکن ہاں مجھے ایک چیز پتہ ہے کہ روایت بتاتی ہے کہ جب انسان جو ہے پول صراط کو عبور کر کے جب جنت میں وارد ہونے والا ہوگا تو ایک مرتبہ پول کوثر پر جب پہنچے گا تو ہمارا آپ کا مولا امیر المومنین جو ہے وہاں جو ہے ساقی کوثر ہے، ایک مرتبہ اجازت دے گا ہمیں کہ ہم جا کے کوثر کا پانی پی لیں۔ روایت کے جملے ہے کہ کوثر کے پانی میں تاثیر یہ ہے کہ ایک مرتبہ کوئی کوثر کا پانی پی لے تو پھر نہ اسے کبھی بھوک لگ سکتی ہے نہ کبھی پیاس لگ سکتی ہے، بس یہ پانی کچھ شباہت وہاں سے رکھتا ہے اور نہ جانے کیا اعجاز ہے، مگر ہاں روایت کے جملے تاریخ بتاتی ہے 7 سال تک پھر ایمن کو کبھی پیاس اور تشنگی کا احساس نہ ہوا۔ یہ ہے مقام دیا گیا ایک کنیز کو کہ جو اپنے آپ کو محبت فاطمہ میں فنا کر دی۔ قانون الہی جو خدا نے بنایا تھا، خدا نے کہا تو جو ہے میری کنیز سے اتنی محبت کرتی ہے، اتنی وفا کرتی ہے، میں اپنے قانون کو جو ہے وہ تبدیل کر دوں گا تاکہ میں تیری حفاظت کر سکوں، کیونکہ تو نہیں جانتی اور لوگ نہیں جانتے فاطمہ کا مقام میرے نزدیک کیا ہے۔ اور یہی فاطمہ آج رات کیسے گزری خدا جانتا ہے۔ یہ شب ایسی حالت ہے نا، کیونکہ جو ہے وہ سویرے کے وقت شب میں جو ہے بی بی کی حالت اس طرح تھی، نماز صبح کے بعد جو ہے بی بی کا انتقال ہوا نا، ایک مرتبہ جو ہے وہ ایسی حالت، اتنی بیمار ہے، اتنی نحیف ہے، اتنی کمزور ہے کہ جو ہے جب نماز سے لے کر اپنے بستر سے لے کے مصلی تک جانے کے لیے جو ہے مشرف ہوا ہے شہزادی کے کمرے میں، گھر کے اندر پتہ ہے کمرہ کچھ زیادہ بڑا نہیں ہے، بہت زیادہ وسیع نہیں ہے، اپنے بستر سے لے کے اپنے مصلی تک جو ہے شاید ہی کچھ چند قدم ہوں گے، لیکن پتہ ہے بی بی اپنے بستر سے مصلی تک کس طرح جاتی تھی، ارے جو ہے ایک ہاتھ سے اپنے شکم کو سنبھالتی تھی، ایک ہاتھ سے جو ہے وہ اپنی پسلیوں کو سنبھالتی تھی، ایک ہاتھ سے دیوار کا سہارا لیتی تھی، بستر سے لے کے مصلی اور مصلی سے لے کے بستر تک، ایسی حالت تھی بی بی کی۔ لیکن آج رات مغربین کی نماز کے بعد صبح کی نماز کے لیے ایسی حالت تھی کہ بی بی جو ہے اب کھڑے ہو کر نماز بھی نہیں پڑھ سکتی، ارے بی بی کو جو ہے بیٹھ کر نماز پڑھنا پڑی۔ ارے جو نماز اہل بیت بیٹھ کر پڑھے تو سمجھ لیجئے قیامت کا منظر ہے، لیکن ایک مرتبہ پھر وہ وقت آتا ہے، ایک مرتبہ نماز سے پہلے جب ابو الحسن تھے نا تو ایک مرتبہ علی کو بلایا کہ بیٹے علی ذرا یہاں آنا، علی ابو الحسن یہاں آنا، ایک مرتبہ علی آتے ہیں،
سرہانے بیٹھ جاتے ہیں۔ ارے علی نے جو ہے وہ زہرا کے سر کو اپنے زانوں پر رکھا، ایک مرتبہ علی گریہ کرنا شروع کیا، فاطمہ نے گریہ کرنا شروع کیا، پھر ایک مرتبہ فاطمہ کہتی ہے اے ابو الحسن، اے علی میری کچھ وصیتیں ہیں، اسے جو ہے وہ انجام پر لے آنا۔ کہتے ہیں شہزادی بتاؤ، دختر رسول بتاؤ کیا کرنا ہے؟ پھر وہ تاریخی وصیت مظلومیت فاطمہ زہرا کو بیان کرتی نظر آتی ہے۔ ایک طرف وہ جملہ سبت علیہ مصائب کا جو بیان کرتا ہے، وہ جملہ بیان کرتا ہے شہزادی کی مصائب اور مظلومیت کا، اور پھر ایک وصیت کے کچھ جملے، یا علی غسلنی باللیل وحنتنی باللیل وکفنی باللیل ودفنی باللیل۔ اے علی مجھے میرے غسل کو رات کی تاریکی میں دینا، مجھے حنوط رات کی تاریکی میں لگانا، مجھے کفن رات کی تاریکی میں پہنانا، اور مجھے رات کی تاریکی میں دفن کرنا۔ وہ لوگ جنہوں نے مجھے اذیت پہنچائی اور آپ کو اذیت پہنچائی، وہ پہچان نہ پائے، جاننے نہ پائے میری قبر کہاں ہے، ان کی شکایت تو میں خدا کے پاس قیامت کے دن کروں گی۔ ایک مرتبہ جب وصیت ہو چکی، ارے نماز کا وقت ہوا، علی مسجد کے لیے نکل گئے۔ علی ننھے بچے آنکھوں سے آنسو جاری دوڑتے ہوئے مسجد النبی پہنچے، بابا کو دیکھا، ایک مرتبہ ایک جملہ کہا، یا ابتا ماتت امنا، اے بابا ہماری ماں دنیا سے چلی گئی۔ روایت کے جملے ہے، جیسے ہی علی مرتضیٰ نے سنا، ارے کائنات کا مشکل کشا، ارے کائنات کا شجاع ترین فرد، ارے یہ وہی شخص ہے کہ 2 انگلیوں سے خیبر کے دروازے کو اکھاڑ لیا، مگر جیسے سنا یا ابتا امنا ماتت امنا، ہماری ماں دنیا سے چلی گئی، ایک چیخ ماری اور زمین پر گر گئے، ارے زمین پر غش کھا کر گر گئے۔ ارے کہاں اپنے تاریخ میں سنا یا دیکھا کہ علی جیسا شجاع اور صابر امام کبھی جو ہے غش کھا کر گرا، مگر فاطمہ وہ شخصیت ہے کہ جب فاطمہ کا سہارا چھوٹ جائے نا تو علی بھی غش کھا کر گر جاتے ہیں۔ علی زمین پر گرے، پانی لایا گیا، چھڑکا گیا، ایک مرتبہ غشی سے افاقہ ہوا، بچوں کو لیا، گھر کی طرف گئے، ایک مرتبہ زینب اور ام کلثوم کو بھی بلایا گیا۔ عجیب منظر ہے، فاطمہ کا جنازہ ہے، مولا کائنات ہے، حسن حسین زینب ام کلثوم ہے، ارے آہو بکا شروع ہے بچوں کے درمیان، کوئی کہتا ہے اماں، کوئی کہتا ہے مادر گرامی، کوئی کہتا ہے اماں مجھ سے بات کریے۔ ایک مرتبہ علی کہتے بچوں میں تمہاری اماں کو غسل دینے جا رہا، ایک مرتبہ جنازے کو لیا، غسل خانے میں لے گئے، ایک دروازہ بند ہوا، مگر ایک مرتبہ زینب نے سنا، ارے غسل خانے سے چیخ کے میرے مولا کے رونے کی آواز، ارے زینب پریشان، آج تک میں نے بابا کو روتے کبھی نہیں دیکھا، آج تک بابا کو روتے کبھی نہیں دیکھا۔ دروازہ جب کھلا، جب شہزادی کا جنازہ باہر آیا، کفن دیا جا چکا تھا، ایک مرتبہ لانے ہی والے تھے، دروازہ جیسے کھلا، ایک مرتبہ شہزادی دوڑتی ہے، زینب دوڑتی ہے، اپنے بابا کے دامن سے لپٹ گئی، بابا غسل دیتے ہوئے آپ رو کیوں رہے تھے؟ میرا دل پھٹا جا رہا تھا، بتائیے کیوں رو رہے تھے؟ ارے کیا بتائے بچی کو، ارے 95 دنوں کے بعد بھی جب علی پانی ڈال رہے تھے تو کوڑے کا نشان کمر پر پڑا ہوا نظر آیا، علی سے برداشت نہ ہوا، ایک مرتبہ کفن ہو چکا، اب جو ہے وہ فاطمہ کا جنازہ جو ہے وہ بستر پر رکھا گیا، اب ایک ایسا منظر ہوا، ارے کائنات شاہد ہے، حسین آتے ہیں، پہلے حسین پائنتی ہے نا، اب حسین اپنی ماں کے پاس آتے ہیں، چہرے کے سرہانے آتے ہیں، ایک مرتبہ اپنی حسین بابا نے جو ہے وہ سر کے حصے کو کھولا کفن کے، اب بچے جو ہے اپنی ماں کے چہرے کی زیارت کر رہے، دیدار کر رہے، حسین آگے آگے ہے، ایک مرتبہ اپنی ماں کو دیکھا، ہاتھوں کا پیالہ بنایا، اپنی اماں کا چہرہ اپنے ہاتھوں میں لیا اور ایک جملہ کہا، اماں فاطمہ حسین سے بات کریے، مگر فاطمہ کی طرف سے کوئی جواب نہ آیا، دوسری مرتبہ فاطمہ سے مخاطب ہوتے ہیں، اماں فاطمہ آپ کا حسین پکار رہا، جواب دیجئے، کوئی جواب نہ آیا، اب حسین کی آنکھوں سے تو آنسو جاری، ایک جملہ کہا، ہائے آپ کا غریب بیٹا آپ کو پکار رہا، ماں جواب دیجئے، ارے میں کہوں گا ایک مرتبہ، روایت کہتی ہے جب تک 2 مرتبہ جو ہے وہ جب حسین نے کہا تب جواب نہ آیا، جیسے کہا غریب بیٹا پکار رہا، ایک مرتبہ بند کفن کھلے، فاطمہ کے ہاتھ باہر نکلے، اپنے حسین کو گلے سے لگا لیا، ارے زہرا ہر مصیبت برداشت کر سکتی ہے لیکن میرے حسین کی غربت برداشت نہیں کر سکتی، ہاتھوں کو جوڑوں گا، شہزادی سے کہوں گا، شہزادی مدینہ ہے، ساتھ میں علی ہے، آپ ہی کا گھر ہے، محرم افراد ہے، دن کا وقت ہے اور آپ کو آپ کے حسین کی غربت برداشت نہ ہو سکی، ارے سن 61 ہجری میں اگر کربلا میں ہوتی، دیکھتی آپ کا حسین نرغ آدھا میں گھرا ہے، سرزمین کربلا ہے، نہ آب و نہ پانی ہے، نہ یاور و انصار ہے، وہاں جو ہے آپ کا بیٹا پکارتا نظر آتا ہے، حل من ناصر ینصرنا، مگر کوئی مدد کرنے والا نہیں، غریب الوطن ہو چکا، یہاں برداشت نہ کر سکی آپ، وہاں کس طرح برداشت کر سکتی، واہ فاطمہ، واہ حسینہ، واہ مصیبت، پروردگارہ تجھے واسطہ محمد آل محمد کا ہمارے اس قلیل عبادتوں کو قبول فرما، پروردگارہ بی بی فاطمہ کے صدقے میں ہمارے تمام گناہان کبیرہ اور صغیرہ کو معاف فرما، پروردگارہ بی بی کی شہادت کے صدقے میں ایام میں جو بھی پریشان حال ہیں ان کے پریشانیوں کو دور فرما، جو بھی مقروض ہیں ان کے قرضوں کو ادا فرما، جو بھی تنگ دستی میں ہے پروردگارہ ان کے تنگ دستی کو توانگری میں تبدیل فرما، پروردگارہ بی بی کے صدقے میں بی بی کی شہادت کے صدقے میں بی بی کے مظلومیت کے صدقے میں جو بھی بیمار ہیں ان کی شفاء کاملہ اور عاجلہ نصیب فرما، پروردگارہ تمام مومنین اور مومنات خاص کر کے شیعہ حیدر کرار کو ماننے والے ان سب کو اس وبا اس کووڈ-19 سے بچا کر رکھ، پروردگارہ بی بی کے صدقے میں جو بھی اس بیماری میں مبتلا ہو چکے مریض ہے، ہاسپٹل میں ہے، وینٹیلیٹر میں ہے یا انٹینسو کیئر میں ہے، پروردگارہ بی بی فاطمہ کے صدقے میں ان سب کو جو ہے شفاء کاملہ اور عاجلہ دیتے ہوئے ان کو جلد سے جلد اپنے گھروں تک لوٹا دے، پروردگارہ تیرے آخری حجت کے ظہور میں تعجیل فرما، ہمیں ان کے اعوان اور انصار میں شامل کر اور ہم دنیا سے جائے تو عاقبت بخیر ہو، پروردگارہ ہمیں جنت نصیب فرما اور ہمیں جو ہے جنت میں اہل بیت کے جوار نصیب کر، ربنا تقبل منا انک انت السمیع العلیم، غفر اللہ لنا ولکم والحمد للہ رب العالمین، ماتم حسین۔